Hello, it's Jennifer and Fran,
Hey everybody.
and we are here today with Michelle Cantu of A Thrifty Diva. She
Hi.
jumped in and joined us today to talk some about the course. And this week we are talking to different people about different aspects of working with influencers. And Michelle is actually an influencer herself. We have worked with her on multiple projects. We love working with her. She does an amazing job and is really professional and great to work with. So she is perfect to come in and kind of talk about that aspect. And she was also a tester for our course. So I'm going to get going. So, Michelle, can you tell us from the standpoint of your position as an influencer, what takeaways did you get from testing our course?
I believe that building a solid foundation is key and having that checklist. I think that is probably the most important thing before a brand came to me. So I think that was a great layout right there. Um, just as from an influencer's perspective, if I get an email or I get someone to come to me and they want to work with me and they don't have, like, they kind of want to give me free range of what I want to do, is great. But on the flip side, I kind of have to know what they want and what they want out of it, because then it kind of sets us up for good goals instead of having to track back. And once I've already accomplished what I think I've accomplished, they come back to me and they're like, well, you didn't hit this, you didn't hit that, or we kind of wanted to go this way. And then we all start from the very beginning, and I think that sets us up for a little bit of a disaster from the get-go if we don't have that checklist. So I think that was perfect, spot on, because once somebody comes to me and they're like, we want A, B, C, and D, I can say, does this work for us? Or, how can we make this work for both of us? So I think that right there was the best fit.
Oh,
we almost Did
really
I
good.
jump at that?
No, okay. You're good. Well, and I think that that is something too people don't realize when they work with an influencer. It's like after you've already gone through whatever it is, the experience or reviewed it, if you come back and say, well, can you look at it from this way, or I really wanted this, you can't really go back and redo the experience. It's a little
That is
hard to change after you've already done the process. So, being clear ahead of time while giving you flexibility is a very good point.
exactly.
So, as I said, we've worked with you on several projects. What advice would you give to anybody who's starting out working with influencers based on your experience? Because you've been in this a while now.
Expectations versus reality. I think from my perspective, you can go to my Instagram and you can see that I am not going to stage things like the next person. Mine is very, there's pictures of my kids and they might be laying down in bed, or, it's very just organic. And I kind of keep a lot of my personal intermixed with my professional. And I some brands don't want that. Some brands want it very staged, very beautiful looking, because they want to share it on their pages. And some things don't work out for the next. It's not always going to work out the way I want it to, or the way the brand expects it to. So I think they have to know what their expectations are and what mine are. And if we are a good fit for each other, I think if we're both on the same page, then we can go from there.
That's something that we definitely talk about in there is matching those, like as a brand or a business that's looking for an influencer. If you have a certain expectation, you need to pick the influencer that's going to fix that. If you want somebody who does beautiful flat lays or is going to rearrange their house just to show your product, or if you want somebody that looks like they're giving you the behind the scenes, the real look is important to know. And you would know that if you do your research into the influencer. I mean, it's very clear what your style is if somebody spend the time to look through.
Right.
So, what is one thing that, or you can throw in two if you want, that you wish that brands would know? I mean, I know at this point you've received a lot of pitches, you've been reached out to multiple ways. What is something that you would want to tell a brand as an influencer?
For myself, I consider myself a micro influencer, as most people would. I don't have the numbers on Instagram that I have on my blog posts. And I always want to kind of reach out to brands and be like, numbers don't matter all the time, especially when it comes to social media. I mean, we can all inflate our numbers. We can all jump and piggyback on commenting and doing all those things that, yes, I have done. And we all do, because it helps and gains traction and helps with engagement and other people see it. But those numbers don't always matter. And using a multitude of platforms just means that we're pushing out our content. And that right there is where you get the traction for your blog post. You know, if I'm posting something on Instagram and it has 2 likes, it doesn't mean that 100 eyes aren't seeing it. It just means that 2 people it. And commenting doesn't always mean anything. More so, it's the person that is looking at the hashtag and they're like, "Ooh, I want to see, you know, who was at the zoo yesterday, or you know what's happening there," and they're researching that, because I do that a lot. You know, I'll look up a hashtag and I'll be like, "Oh, that looks like a great place to eat at. Like, look at these people's pictures." And sometimes it's just, you know, a mom who's hanging out with her kid or having a date night and she posts that. So numbers don't mean anything sometimes. It's really all about who sees it and where those eyes are coming from. And blog posts, I think, are probably the most important thing, because you get that SEO, you get that keyword research, and that's where you get the value when people are Googling anything. I mean, they could be Googling, you know, does Best Western have good sheets, or, you know, nice beds, and there's probably be a blog post on that, or some kind of information that someone wrote about at one time, and they're going to find.
So oh my gosh, that is so true. And I think what we like about working with you, and really, we generally work with micro influencers, right? We don't work with people at the celebrity level. And, you know, one of the things that we like is your authenticity, but also multi-channel. It's like, yeah, you know, a lot of people focus solely on Instagram, but not every brand is solely on Instagram. And like you said, you know, the SEO of a well-written blog post about a travel destination, or, you know, a small business, or an experience your family has had, can be, you know, can be inspiring to the very people that the brand is trying to attract, right? So are you trying to attract other celebrities, or real people who are going to either use your product, use your service, or go to your destination? And I think, you know, that's what we did when we designed this course, is we were looking at small businesses that want to get into adding influencer marketing to their marketing mix, but they don't have $100,000 budgets. But you can engage with micro influencers and make it meaningful. And so, you know, Michelle, we love working with you, and we appreciate that you tested our course from the standpoint of an influencer, because we wanted to make sure the material's going to work for a brand and be, you know, tick off the box that the influencer who's approached by a brand says, I want to work with them. So if you want to derive value from working with influencers, or you want to get started working with influencers, check it out. We have so many materials in Get the Right Influencers for Your Brand. The link will be in the comments. You can buy it today. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. We'll also add Michelle's information too, so you can check her out online.